Can you throw your power supply in the garbage? Let's find out. My name's Anthony Jenkins from Epitaph Tattoo, and today we're going to be talking about the Sol Nova Unlimited from Cheyenne. We're going to go over the specs of this machine, we're going to go over the pros and some of the cons, and we're going to talk about whether or not I think it's worth your money and whether or not I think we can throw out all of our power supplies. Of course, as always, this is an unsponsored review. This is all just my opinion. You're welcome to just discard it or take it in for what it's worth. Let's get started. Let's talk about this machine. This is what you're going to get for your $1,045 US investment. That's about 1,400 Canadian dollars. I found it more expensive than that. I have never found it less expensive than that. So it's right on the very top of kind of what you could expect to pay for kind of any tattoo machine. And for that, you're going to get a small box, which I love. You're going to get some reading material. That's your user manual. You're going to get an operation manual, or rather operation diagram for left-handers as well as right-handers. And you're going to get just a quick rundown of the button operation. So, Sol Nova Unlimited. Let's talk about this machine. It is battery powered. It runs on one lithium-ion battery, and it is single button operation. So no foot switch, no anything, no messing around. You are completely, at the mercy of getting used to one small button on this machine. Now, when you order it, you're gonna get this little carry case. And what's contained in this is charging cord. You're gonna get a 5-volt charger. This is for your lithium-ion batteries. You're gonna get 2 lithium-ion batteries in a small case. I've got one already loaded in, but that's them. Okay. And you're gonna get your actual machine. So in terms of specs on this machine, like I mentioned, it's cordless operation, just operates with this button right here, okay? It weighs 184 grams, it's 5 inches long, comes with the 1.3 inch grip, just like the Sol Nova. It's a little longer than the conventional Sol Nova, a touch heavier, but not much, okay? It's got a 3.5 millimeter stroke, that's not changeable. And, obviously brushless DC motor, the same motor that you would expect in, any of the newer Cheyenne machines right now, okay? The running range is from 25 hertz all the way to 140 hertz, and that's 5 to 12.6 volts. And you never have to worry about exceeding it because obviously it's machine controlled. It's never gonna be, cranked higher than is possible, I guess. It has a 3-hour charge time. So what I mean is, when the batteries are completely empty, you plug them in, it's gonna take 3 hours to charge them completely. And then on that 3-hour charge, you're gonna get 5 hours of use out of each machine, or out of each battery rather. And we'll get into that in a minute, kind of what you can expect. So that kind of covers all of the specs of this machine. So let's go through a little bit of the operation and how it works. So in order to turn this machine on, you're just gonna hold that down for a sec. Now you'll see it's flashing at the top. This machine also has steady and responsive mode, just like the Sol Terra and the Sol Luna. So if you want to switch from responsive mode to steady, you're going to hold that for 2 seconds and it's going to go solid. Now, we press the button again and it turns the machine on. So right now it's going to be running in the kind of mid-range of the machine. You can go up or down. In order to make the machine go up, we're going to hold it and we're going to tilt. And you'll hear it run through until we get all the way up to 12.6. So that's how we change the speed on this machine. It's not super easy to change on the fly, and it is constant. So if you're used to a foot switch, maybe a little bit of adjustment. When you're ready to turn it off, you just press and then press again. So pretty simple. Now the bottom light here will indicate your battery life. So obviously a white light, it's almost bluish when it's full battery. will look just like that. As the battery drains, it'll go yellow and then it'll go red. But I have not been able to notice any diminishing power in the, in the function of the machine, I guess. The batteries are real simple to change. They come out of the back just like this. There you go. Pop them in. There's a little O-ring there to keep everything secure. This machine's unbelievably easy to wrap. It's just like any other pen style, with the exception of no cord. So, you attach your clip cord sleeve, run it down, you fold it over a little piece of vet wrap over top or tape, and close everything back up with a disposable grip, or, obviously properly wrap the 1.3 mil grip or 1.3 inch grip, and that's it. So let's talk about the pros of this machine. What do I like about it? So right off the top, it's wireless, right? So you're not dealing with your clip cord, you're not dealing with, knocking ink caps with it, or dragging it over blood or anything else. I love that. I'm not a messy tattoo artist, but I know that, if I had a nickel for every time I've knocked over an ink cap, or I've, clip cord has touched blood and, end up having to wipe it down right away. It's a pain in the butt, and it's a fact to kind of, working in the medium. So, this, you don't have to worry about it at all. You still get all the modes with this, which I think is a big deal, right? You get reactive mode and the steady mode. And, when I initially reviewed the Sol Terra and the Sol Luna, I struggled to kind of feel the difference between the modes and to try to kind of, was I getting any different results? And with this machine, I actually feel like I kind of get it now. I feel a little bit like, turning on reactive mode, especially when you're a little lower down in the range, really does make a difference to kind of the end result of your tattoo, depending on the area that you're working in, okay? So having that is a big deal. There's no bulky battery pack on this thing, so that's another huge pro, right? There's other companies that are trying to do this right now, where they're going wireless, and you're seeing these big, like battery packs being stuck on the top of with an RCA cable. And, if you want that kind of weight and you want that kind of feel, just use a coil. Like, there's no advantage to me to having a battery pack that you're not really going to be able to wrap up, even if that means, you get a little bit more kind of, button play, I guess. You get to pick the speed that you're running at a little more effortlessly than with this one. And your customers will look at you a little less strangely than while you're, quietly listening to your machine as you're tilting it, trying to find the right number, okay? So, all of the stuff that you'd expect from a Sol Nova machine. It's quiet, it's low balance, it's well balanced, low vibration. It's very much as expected, which I was really happy with, It's snappy. It gives you all the feedback that you want from one of these machines, even with a low battery. That's the other thing. Anybody that's watched any of my videos before knows that I run my machines really fast. In fact, there's always somebody in the comments that will have something to say about, bro, you're running your machines way too fast, man. You're gonna hurt customers. At which point I generally direct them to my Instagram, at @AnthonyJenkins_ET, and then they can look at my work and they can see healed and they can see how swollen it is and everything else. And, I never feel like I'm being abusive to a client, right? But I run my machines fast. And so, I have actually yet to kill one of these batteries. I've done 5-hour plus sittings with them. I've never had to switch one out through. 5 hours is kind of the minimum battery life. I had large concerns about, God, what are these batteries going to cost? I don't know anything about lithium batteries. How soon am I going to have to replace them? And lucky for me, and lucky for you and all of us, Cheyenne didn't go with anything fancy or proprietary. You can replace these batteries for $4.50. Their average cycle life is 300 cycles. That's 600 cycles total, on like $9 American. To replace one of these things. So I was super impressed with that. And I have done my damnedest, run this machine full bore, not stopping it, for hours and hours and hours, and it just is consistent and smooth and exactly as if it was plugged into the wall, without the encumbrance of a wire, basically. So, and I guess, the last couple things, being compatible with all the Cheyenne grips, and then being super easy to wrap, I think is important. As I said, bulky power sources that are basically, it's essentially a rechargeable power source that's plugging into your machine. It's not as sanitary to me. I just don't see the appeal of trying to wrap something in barrier film when you can just throw a clipcord sleeve over and then, put a disposable grip on. I think that there's huge advantages to that. So, let's talk about the cons. Are there any? Is there problems that I have with this machine? Kind of. Okay, so I think that the button play can be a little tricky, It can be a little bit to figure out, this is how I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna turn it on, and then I'm gonna tilt, and then I gotta find the range, but you're going by sound, which we don't normally do with rotary machines. We're typically looking at a readout to tell us, how fast it's going. As I kind of alluded to, clients kind of look at you a little funny as you're standing there. I've had a couple clients say, like, is something wrong with it? Or, and they get a little concerned. And then I have to explain, no, this is what it is. And, everybody's kind of astonished, especially people that have been tattooed in the past. They're kind of, really into the idea of it. It's cool tech, right? So whether you're a tattoo artist or not, it is still something neat. So, that takes a little bit of getting used to. The other thing for me is I spend all my days tapping my foot on nothing, because every time I go to dip ink, every time I go to do anything, I'm tapping my foot to, use my foot pedal that doesn't exist. It isn't there. So, it can be a little bit of just kind of adjustment, I guess, having a constantly running machine. You don't want to be pressing that button all the time. So having a constantly running machine is a little bit more tricky, I think, in terms of, making sure you're not, dipping and hitting your caps or anything like that. And, there's challenges with it, but overall, it's nothing that you can't adjust to quickly, a few days, right? And especially if you're already coming from a machine that's in the same family, it's going to be really easy for you to go, okay, yeah, this feels exactly like my Solterra, or this feels exactly like my Hawk pen, or whatever, right? It's going to be pretty simple for you. Now, the only real beef that I have with this machine is I hate that it just seems to go to sleep every time I take a break. So if I do take a break, and it's more than a few minutes, when I come back in, I've got to reset the machine. I've got to, do the tilt again and get it going. Now, that might be something that I'm doing. I'm not 100% sure. I've read through everything. I think it just kind of goes to sleep and you got to reset it, because every time I turn it back on, it starts off real slow again, and then I got to, boost it back up. So, if somebody has kind of figured out what I'm doing wrong, or somebody has the answer to that, please chime in the comments. I'm happy to take some advice on it. But that would be my only real criticism of this machine. I wish that it kind of saved where you were at more. And sometimes I think it has, but the majority of time when I sit down again after taking a break, I've got to, tilt it again and go through everything. So those are all the cons, adjusting to not using a foot pedal, getting used to having to reset it every time, minimal stuff, maybe not knowing how fast it's going with a readout in front of you. But all of that stuff, I think, pales in comparison to the fact that you're just free. Like a good friend of mine works in a town nearby. He's just raving about this machine every day. He's a mobile tattoo artist, not in that he drives to people's houses, but in that the guy never stops moving. He's standing, he's dancing, he's moving around, and he's an incredible tattoo artist. And I think, I recommended this machine to him. I let him use mine, and he right away bought one of his own, because I think, he feels free all of a sudden, that he can move to the other side of the client. He can, set up his caps where he wants. He's not stuck with, this is my station and this is where I am. I'm doing this review in our front area. For the first time, I don't even have to sit in front of my desk. I can sit where there's half decent lighting, and I don't have to worry about the sun coming in behind me. And that in itself, that you can just go anywhere with this machine is awesome. So, is the machine worth it? When you combine the fact that it has more functions than the Sol Nova, it has more comfort than the Sol Terra or the Sol Luna, and ease of wrapping, ease of use than those machines. The batteries are dirt cheap to replace. They seem to run forever. I've been using this machine, since we came back from kind of quarantine time. So it's been a couple months of this machine. Consistent use. I've noticed no fade from the batteries. I've noticed no diminish in, how long I can run them. And even if I do, I can replace them for $4. Like, you can't argue with that. So the batteries are going to outlive the motor, if anything. And, typically what I get out of a Cheyenne machine is 1,000 hours. I get about 1,000 hours before I have to send it back and get that motor, rebuilt, the return spring put back in, whatever. And that's pretty damn good. The price is outrageous, $1,400 Canadian. I paid more than that with shipping, and there's tax on that as well. We pay high tax rate. It's a lot of money to spend on a tattoo machine, but it's also probably going to pay for itself in the fact that you're not, you're not encumbered by all of the things that we're used to by tattooing, that you're going to be feeling really intuitive and be able to kind of make art the way that you normally would, not necessarily with a client there, that you can stand up and move around and get comfortable and don't have to worry about where your machine is plugged into. So is the machine worth it? Yes, 100 times yes. I've rarely felt so enthusiastic about how good a tattoo machine is. If you're in the market for a new tattoo machine and you're not buying this one or not considering this one, you're doing wrong. Like, it's that good that it's worth getting, I think, for anybody that appreciates pen style rotaries, that appreciates tech and good stuff. This machine, I can't say enough good about it. So that is it. That's everything that I wanted to say about the Sol Nova Unlimited, and it's a lot. I know, I think I'm 17 or 18 minutes into this video right now. I just want to say, if you have anything to add, please add it into the comments section. If you want to know what kind of work I'm doing with this machine, you can follow me on Instagram at AnthonyJenkins_ET, or my shop at Epitaph Tattoo, and you can see some of the work I've done with it. And hope you're all taking care of yourselves. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.